What's up everybody, thank you so much for joining me. My name is Axfield, and with today's video I'm going to show you how I've made meat a staple food within Manor Lords. Now, prior to our last patch that we got, it was virtually impossible to create meat or to make meat a staple food. And if you did manage to get a couple of meat, yeah, it was really hard work to get it there, and you needed a certain location on the map to get your meat to function properly. Now, with the way that I'm going to show you, or the method that I'm going to show you of how I created meat to be a staple, it's really cool because you can do it on any starting location on the map. So that's a really nice part about it. The only downside about this method is that it will only really work in the later stages of your game. So this is not a food source that you are going to use in the early or even the mid stages of the game. So I would only say to make meat a staple for your village is really a later stage of the game. But I'm going to run through a couple of things and just show you what I did. So when we go onto our food, you can see that my apples and veggies are definitely the main featuring food still, but the meat is climbing and it's definitely stable. So I'm getting enough meat out for the whole town. So they've got 3 solid forms of food that they can get access to. The fish is definitely also improved since the pre-release of the last patch. So you can see I've got a little pond on this side, so we do get way more fish in the ponds, and they do spawn in way faster and way more also than before. So you can use fish as a really awesome food source to start with, to be honest, if you don't have access to berries or even to the wild animals, but you've got the fishing pond. It's not a bad idea to start with that. But now, in order for you to have meat as a staple, you've got to go through a whole process to get the meat working properly. Now, the first thing I would say is you definitely need the sheep breeding development skill. I wouldn't be too worried about the rest of it. You don't really need the farming skills here if you want to make it as a staple, but for me the orchardry is very important because it's definitely one of the main food sources now for my town. It's the apples, and then of course the veggies. So once you've got the sheep breeding skill selected, you're going to get sheep, and you're going to want to get a lot of sheep. Okay, so I kind of worked it out to make it effective. You need about, I would say, times and a half of your town's population. So let's say if you've got 250 like I've got now, then you time that with 1.5, and that would be the amount of sheep that you are going to need for the town to make the meat or to supply the town effectively with the meat as a staple. Now, also another thing that I do want to say is you don't need sheep farmers to have your sheep to be healthy. The only thing the sheep farmers really do is they shear the sheep for the wool. Now, trust me, you're going to want to switch your families on and off here, because you're going to end up with a whole bunch of wool. My wool has come down now a whole lot. It was going at one stage over 1,000. So you're going to have to assign and unassign a family every now and then, because you won't be able to keep up with the wool supply even if you do trade the wool. Okay, so once you've got the sheep breeding, and you're going to slowly accumulate the sheep as you go through the game. So what I've done currently, I've got the livestock trading here. I've got 150 sheep that I'm importing, 150 of the adult sheep, and 165 of the lambs that I'm importing, up to that level. You see now I've only got currently 90 lambs, because when they start aging, you're going to see your lamb numbers really drop, and then the butcher is going to obviously slaughter the adult sheep once they exceed the number of 150. Now, you're going to have to make sure that you've got at least 2 butcher shops. If you've got a town of 250, then to effectively spread the food for the whole town and to accumulate the meat quick enough, you're going to need those 2 shops. Now, you can see that I've set my shop to cull the sheep once it gets over 150 for the adult sheep. And if we get more than 170 lambs, then they're going to slaughter the lambs as well. Now, the reason why I've got more lambs than sheep is because we do get more meat from the adult sheep. So I really want the lambs to accumulate more than the adult sheep. And also, you will lose a lot of numbers as they mature. So that's why I just made the lambs more than the adult sheep. And as I've mentioned before, you don't need anything else to have the sheep to be healthy, so they can really graze by themselves and they will be okay. So that's the nice part about it. Now you're going to need a lot of pastures. You can see I've got a whole bunch of camps here. And when you go here to the livestock button at the top, you can see I've got a pasture space for up to 335 sheep. So you can really push the limits with the sheep. You can go way more than that if you really want to. And then meat can really be a feature in your town. Now I still don't feel like it's worthwhile to make sausages, because the people use the meat quick enough. In my opinion, I think you're going to need a much bigger town maybe, and then it's something that you can consider. And also if you need more food variety, because the sausages will also count as an extra food source that you can get for your villagers. So you know, maybe once we've gotten to the level 4 or the tier 4 houses, then it would make sense to have sausages as well, because then you've got a fourth food source then for the people, and then you can accommodate for the tier 4 housing. But at this stage it's really not worth it to even look into making the sausages, in all honesty. So I would just get the plain meat. Now aside from the sheep breeding that I explained to you that I'm doing, I've got a lot of pig pens in my town. Now the pig pens are really not that effective, to be honest. And I wouldn't even consider getting the pig pens until a later stage of the game. And also if you know for certain that you do want to use meat as a primary source of food. Because with the pig pens you only get meat twice a year, and it's really not a lot that you get. So I would say rather stick with the chicken coops until a later stage of the game. Once you've got enough veggies that you're generating and enough apples maybe, or whatever other food source that you've got. And then you can consider then to get the pig pens if you do want to use meat as a primary food source. But I would say stick with the chicken coops until a much later stage of the game. And then obviously the goat sheds, I would say, also becomes a little bit obsolete, you know, when you've got the sheep breeding going and you're starting to slaughter the sheep, because you do get the hides from the sheep as well. So you can then rather replace the goat sheds with the pig farms, and in that way you can then generate way more meat. That's from me, guys. It was just a short video to explain to you how I've utilized the new system to make meat a staple, and I do hope that it helps you as well. Now if you did enjoy this video, please do remember to subscribe, as well as press the bell notification button, then you can stay updated on all the other videos that I do. Thank you so much for watching, and then I'll see you in the next one.
In a game of adventure and strategy, we make our mark. That's still